Yo, 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 what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we are going to be reviewing the latest developer feedback column for December 2023, last one for the year, that just posted on the official CoD Discord this morning, or at least by the time this video releases, it will be as of this morning of recording, which is the 27th of December. Now, if you want to find these and be able to open these in full view like we have, you'll click Dev Feedback here on the official CoD Discord. You'll click on the one that you want, this one 9 hours ago, top right, 3 dots, open in full view, and voila. Okay, we're going to read what the feedback is, the dev response, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts, as awesome as they usually are. Okay, here we go. The defense tower mechanics are making the PvP experience long and dull. Now, I'm curious if they mean the spires here or the flag towers that have cannons on them. However, I'm believing that they mean the spires. Maybe they also mean the turrets, but they didn't say that here in this one. So, interesting. Let's read the response. The initial intention of defense towers was to diversify the ways battles are conducted and to increase suspense during battles. Gradually, we have noticed that lords primarily focus on using defense towers as the main tactic rather than considering them as auxiliary tools during battles. In light of this, we will be making adjustments to the defense towers in an upcoming update. Okay, first off, what defense towers, though? Can we just call them what they are? Can you say turrets or spires? Now, I'm assuming they mean turrets based on the wording here, which is they're using them as the main tactic. And I want to point this out. Your boy here was saying this from the beginning, which is that. And again, I love that they said this as well in their own words, which to me, these things need to be of tactical use. They should be complementary pieces. Turrets and barricades should be complementary pieces. They should not be the main attraction, right? That turtles the gameplay, right? I'm not trying to sit here and play a no-rush custom game in Age of Empires for 5 days until everyone's ready to start banging on the doors of each other. Okay, thank you. However, this is great. I love that the feedback they've been getting is being recognized. This is a fantastic change, or a fantastic hopeful change that will be coming, and it's just going to depend on what do they do with it. My take is they should start off slow. I would say the same thing with the barricades. Bring the barricades back and just say, look, each player can build one turret and one barricade. Let that play out across a season or two, and then make your adjustments. Assess, right? But to me, that would mean that if each player can only build one, it becomes a little bit more tactical at that point. On top of, if needed, you could also define a wide radius around choke points if needed. And you could say you can only build these within this defined choke point area. And then outside of that, you can build however many you want on turrets, right? As an example. And even if they don't do that and they just start off with, let's just go to one, I'd be okay with that. Number 2, search function for Darkling fortresses. Locating the Darkling fortress quickly is a challenge. Dev response. At this moment, we're emphasizing map exploration with our current design. We appreciate your feedback and we'll keep in mind for future consideration. I'm going to be honest. Do I really care if there's a search function for Darkling fortresses? I think that's really going to impact my playing experience? No. Do I get the quality of life of being able to find these? Okay, I get that. But do I also look at it from a third angle, which is that, dude, let's be a little adventurous. Let's play a little Where's Waldo out here, right? Do they have search functions for villages and caves? No, they don't. You just go find them, right? You can see them on the map just like you can see those. Now, the exploration button, obviously, you can see when you're all the way zoomed out. You can only zoom out so far, but you can still zoom out enough to find forts. However, if you're looking for certain numbers of forts, there's a difference there between searching for fort levels versus searching for a flat village or flat cave that does not have a level associated with it. If I can search for levels with Darklings, I understand that argument on, okay, if I can search for those levels and I can search for different beast levels and different tier levels for Darkling chests, why can't I search for levels of forts. However, the other side I'll say for that, point 4 here, or sub point 4, is that forts are for alliances, right? It's meant to be rallied by alliances, and the idea is that you should hopefully be having multiple people searching for these compared to just one person who's searching for them if you're looking for Darklings as an example, or villages, or other exploratory rewards that you can go and find out there in the kingdom. So, again, I could see arguments on both sides. I don't know if one side really moves the needle for me overwhelmingly to say, yeah, let's come up with a search feature. Maybe there's other points that I'm not thinking of or other arguments. I'd love to hear. Let me know what you guys think. Number 3, village buff optimization. Extend the village buff to all alliance members instead of individual players. Dev response. We value your feedback and understand the community's perspective. However, we will not be considering this as our current design was intentionally crafted to provide buffs at an individual level. Oh, I wonder if this is where all the thumbs downs are coming from. Because I get this. I'm an advocate for this as well. There was nothing wrong with the previous system. And if there was something wrong with the previous system, why wasn't that articulated? Why wasn't an explanation provided that said, look, this is how the current system is at the moment, and this is how it's being used. However, we'd like to improve the system, or we'd like to do something that we think is going to be a net positive, and therefore our hope is that with this new system that we plan to change it to, this is what we want to get, right? This is what we hope players will appreciate and enjoy. The fact is that this is negatively impacting to the community and to the overall player experience, because where are the majority of players found? In alliances. What do the majority of alliances have to do when you have limited slots per villages? They have to allocate. Who's doing the allocation? The management teams. The R4s and the R5s who are volunteering their time. And guess what? What you think everyone wants just to hang out with a level 1 village buff? No. So, because of the way that the system is, you are forcing people to pick and choose who gets them and who doesn't. Why would I want to be an alliance of 200, right, where I'm not going to be able to get or have the same opportunity to get top-level village buffs, which, again, there's always going to be some that are more valued than others, versus being able to potentially leave that alliance, go join another one that's semi-active, be the strongest person in that alliance, and then have an opportunity to get all the village buffs. Now, that's not something that I'm saying is happening on any kind of widespread medium, but it can happen, and I've seen this happen. However, the bigger challenge is the amount of complaints that I'm sure alliances get. And if you're someone who leads an alliance, I want to hear from you. You need to let me know in the comments, is it the complaints that is the biggest challenge right now for you as leading or managing the alliance that you get from people that will say, oh, well, why wasn't I included in this? Or why can't I go in and get this? Right? Do people threaten to leave? I would really love to know. I might even do a side video on this where we do a deep dive. But yes, this to me, respectfully, is not the right direction to go in here. When you look at all the facets that go into this particular feature, if you wanted to have it be focused on a more individual level, why not come out with something else or another feature that allows for individuals to go and do some type of PvE thing where they can get individual temporary buffs or something that will add on to villages? Why does the road that we die on have to be here at villages? Right? Again, thinking outside the box, understanding there's other ways to do things that will not impact something like this. Bear in mind, Rock as one example. Right, when you go out and you capture these building territory, you get passive buffs, right? And again, COD used to work in a similar fashion, with the exception of you having to connect a road to that village, right, to then get it. But bear in mind, no one was complaining about the previous way that the system was. But now people are complaining at the current change, or at the change in the current way that the village buff system works for alliances. So yeah, again, I don't want to beat this dead horse, but this is very rough to see this explanation, right? This was an opportunity for the developers to provide a more detailed explanation here that really allowed for them to try and get to par, right? To break even on how the community interpreted this. Instead, we get a short response that respectfully, once again, doesn't take into account what the day-to-day playing experience is of players who are in-game, and how management and how the relationship between management on deciding those things and the players within those alliances is impacted. Number 4. What a blow to my morale. Hospital treatment selection for the ability to manually select troops for healing in the hospital. We recognize the merit of this suggestion and will evaluate its feasibility for enhancements for future updates. Okay, this isn't a yes and this isn't a no. This is a maybe. This is a we'll think about it. And I'm okay with that. However, do I like the idea of being able to manually select which troops are healed in the hospital? Without a doubt in my mind, that would be a phenomenal quality of life update to the game. And I'm all for that. Because, and I'll just give you one example, you're going to get situations where as a free-to-play player, you're probably not going to sit there and mass train every single troop. It might be more viable for you to run ranged compared to close, right? You may not necessarily want to run a lot of infantry and cav. You may opt for more running flying or we'll just say flying, keep it short because there's different types, right? For celestials and where did I see? I'm for wyverns. See, I can remember names, right? But we'll just say close range versus range, and because you just have a higher percentage chance of losing less by playing range than you do with close. Doesn't mean that no free to play is ever going to do that. We're not saying that. We're advocating for when you're playing the percentages out on how it's going to work, and because of that, you might not need to mass heal a lot of infantry and cav as free to play, or for anyone that plays that, right? And that goes for anyone. Right? If you want to play a specific, again, take someone like Pervy Sage as an example. And there's others out there who at the moment are just running 5 cav. Hulkston is testing and working on running 5 cav. You think he's going to want to sit there and mass heal infantry? Right? Or anyone else who's mainly just running nothing but flying, right? What about the shout out to GG Selly Team 6? What about for those guys who just want to run nothing but flying units? Why should they be forced to have to heal other units and use that specific elixir on that? So again, allowing for that customization will improve quality of life. Number 5, increased drop rates for treaties and sentinel arrows when defeating darkling forts and patrols. It's almost like they watched my suggestion video and they're just acknowledging these. I'm just joking. Other people have mentioned these as well. Increased drop rates for treaties and sentinel arrows when defeating darkling forts and patrols. Stay tuned for future events where lords will be able to obtain more sentinel arrows. Okay, I mean, this is great. Thank you. A confirmation this is coming. I mean, this is, again, depending on how much, let's not get too excited, but is this a good change that's going to come in a future update? Without a doubt. I mean, this is literally an every single player W, but probably more so to the free-to-play low spend. I mean, hallelujah, praise Buddha, Allah, Jesus, who's ever on your calendar for that day or week. Number 6, please introduce additional gathering heroes. Dev response: we're currently evaluating this idea, though a definitive timeline is to be established. I want to say, so with the hero thing, this is pretty basic to me. I personally feel like they're going to come out with more heroes that are gathering, more flying, more infantry, more heroes of all types. It's just going to take some time. They'll come out with more engineering heroes, etc. I don't think that that's not going to happen. However, what this feedback is saying is we want them now. And I think this is an appropriate answer, right? Because I don't really think you're going to move the needle like that in that way. Right, I think the expectation should be we're gonna release from the dev side, right? We'll release different types of heroes and different tiers of heroes, right, at staggered intervals throughout the year, right? Whether that's every other update or however they go about it. But do I think more gathering heroes are going to come? Yeah, because there hasn't been any kind of indication to state that we're never going to do that ever again. Number 7, speed of opening alliance chests. Please enhance the speed of rare alliance chest openings. We've taken note of this feedback, however, there are no immediate changes planned at this time. I mean, look, this isn't the worst thing. Is this something that could have helped in a small sense? Yes, of course. Does it take 20 hours to open up 200 chests? No, it doesn't. But would this have been a nice quality of life update? Without a doubt, it would have. And I can say that because I'm in an alliance right now that gets a lot of chests. And everyone knows I just hop alliances every season. So sometimes I'm in a lower powered alliance, sometimes I'm in a higher powered alliance, right? I like to do that to go and see what is different out there, right? It's one of the things I love about how I'm using the season. Again, you guys know I advocate for home kingdoms. I advocate for home kingdom starting zones. I hope we eventually get to that point. But while the wave is riding in the direction it is, right, this is nice to be able to do this. Next one. Free healing potions. Please provide more opportunities to acquire free healing potions. We will assess this based on player data, though immediate changes may not be forthcoming. I mean, again, this is like, look, we're going to look at the data. Okay, somewhat okay-ish with this. I think instead of maybe free healing potions, and I guess I'm somewhat okay-ish with this if they mix potentially. Now, bear in mind, adding in free healing potions, depending on how that may play out, may just be a short-term victory instead of a long-term win, where you're looking at increasing the elixir healing rate, right? I think that's something that's a little bit more looked upon for what a large portion of the player base would like, is to see free healing basically get reverted to the speed and pace that it was at prior to the changes. Even though they did a minor rollback, it's obviously not to the point of where it was at one point. So I think that, to me, is a little bit more higher on the totem pole, if you will, than coming out with free healing potions, right? It's like the difference between treating the symptoms and treating the disease, right? I would rather treat the disease and not the symptoms. Doesn't mean that they couldn't eventually add in free healing potions. I just don't know if I would say that is the immediate focus when it comes to free healing potions or the free healing daily rate, or elixir daily rate, we should say. Here we go. Tower and Garrison leaders request. Community members are I see. So the community are suggesting to have Tower and Garrison leaders. We're planning some adjustments while ensuring the core design remains intact. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Would I be okay with being able to rally? Would I be okay with being able to rally towers and Garrison and I guess it's not cities, right? Sorry, passes, but you already rally passes. So I guess it's mainly towers, right? Tower and Garrison, so attacking and defense. I am somewhat iffy on this. I'm a little in the middle because on one side, if they keep the core design, what are we really talking about? We're talking about them keeping the building or destructing of the tower to the outside of the tower. You still have to send legions there. But you may have to rally the tower and kill everyone in the tower before you can start destroying it and or building it or repairing it, as an example. So same thing as if you're on offense or defense, depending if you are building or destroying. On the other side of it, do I really care that you're not able to do this? No, not at all. Do I like the gameplay the way it is currently? And if you were to ask me, is the game's future going to rely on whether or not they add in the ability to rally towers? I would say no, it's not at all. I like the way that the game is right now, and I think it differs enough from Rock and from other kingdom builders to have its own unique approach. But again, like I said, with that being said, even though my view is that it doesn't really matter to me, and I'm not, if you were like, hey, would you cast your vote on here? I wouldn't cast my vote because I would just remain impartial. I don't think anything needs to change. Though would I be against it if the change happened? Not necessarily. It's just, again, I would want to see how it plays out. If they decide to add something like that in at some point in time, it needs to be crystal clear that, look, we're testing this to see how it's going to be. But if it ends up being something that is just not overwhelmingly loved and people would like for us to revert back to the system it was, then revert back to that system. Leave that door open. That's the biggest thing there. Number 10, there's an overflow of gold heads and building research and building researching speed ups. Bear in mind, specifically what we should say is put an asterisk here, is that for those that spend money, right, for mid-high spenders. Dev response. And bear in mind, that's exactly what this question is. Let's call it what it is. Let's be fair about it. We appreciate your input. Ways to recycle these overflow items are in consideration for future roadmaps. And bear in mind, they already said this I think it was in the Cologne meetup. Someone had asked about this, or maybe in a previous dev column, but they did mention this already, that they are looking at ways to do this, to recycle heads, and I don't know if they mentioned about speed ups or not. So this basically falls in line with what they've previously said, but it's nice because I do think it's a good idea. Even if you're recycling them at maybe a reduced rate, or if it's going to be a 1-for-1 ratio, I guess that could be okay too as well, depending on how people view that. But we'd love to know what your thoughts, right? If they come out with a way to recycle heads and speed up, should it be a 1-to-1 ratio where if I take a head from a specific commander, should that turn into exactly 1 universal, or should it be 2 heads equals 1 universal, right? Or 3-to-1, right? I'd be curious to hear what you guys think. With that in mind, That's it for this one on the dev feedback column in December. I will say, I think there's some wins here, but I also think that I don't want to say losses, but I think that there are some hurdles that are now there, right, because of some of the answers and I would say lack thereof, right, when it comes to explanation. I think anytime you're going to tell people no, or you're going to say, this is not for consideration, or this is not what we're going to do at the time, that's where you really need to provide more insight into why. None of the responses here, once again, respectfully, ever really answered that question for me on why. And that is something that if I was able to get, I would respect that enough to say, I appreciate the answer. I appreciate the explanation. I appreciate the thorough reply on giving us some insight into your brain on why is it that this will not be included, right? If you have a great justification or an answer or feedback or data that says, hey, this is, or even saying, even though we don't have plans to do it right now, we may in the future, and it's something that we may consider, but we want to continue looking at the data, right? I mean, again, there's ways that you can answer this, but I think giving more of an insight would help, right? I think it would also appear a little bit more humbling. With that in mind, again, I'd love to hear what you guys think on any of these 10 feedback questions and answers that we went over. Let me know in the comments down below. That's going to do it for me. As always, until next time, I'll catch you later.